What's up guys, today I wanted to upload this plus 17 Floodgate run. It's pretty ancient at this point, it was recorded I think like a month ago. I have half of my 19s done by now. But anyways, it was a pretty clean run and I wanted to show it to you. Again, we're gonna continue with the educational windows. Today I really want to focus on targeting. So prio targets that you should be focusing and why they're important, why they need to die quickly. Because in many of my lower key runs, especially the ones that I do on my tank and healer, like plus 15s, plus 16s, sometimes even plus 17s, which is kind of crazy. People just do not know what to target and what is important. And in that aspect, I also make some mistakes this key actually, so we're gonna go over it, kind of learn together, you know? Now in the first pull here, it's pretty obvious you target the 3000, the big ass robot that does AoE, but I do end up making a mistake that ends up costing me a decent portion of my damage, and it's actually the reason why I end up losing to the FDK on the damage meter at the end of the key. When you're playing a classic comp with an FDK and a BM or even a Havoc, it doesn't really matter. Both of these comps have more than enough prio damage. As you can see, what will happen most of the time is that the robot ends up dying sooner than the rest of the pack. So what I should have done here is I should have been more selfish, honestly, and I should have just started rot spreading on the other shitter mobs around it.
Watch your step. Good. Good.
Going into the second pull here, what you're going to see many tags doing is instead of separating this pull, they're going to pull it all together. This is something that you're literally forced to do at some point, because if you split the packs, you end up wasting too much damage, and the timer in Floodgate is very, very unforgiving. But regardless of how many packs you pull here, you always target the Architect. Again, I see some people pumping into the Surveyor. That is a very, very huge mistake. These Surveyors are actually a very safe mob. They might be annoying in pugs, but as long as everyone knows who's on top of the CC, the kick, this ends up being a super useless mob, and because the Architect can hop on the platform and gain immunity, he should always be the target here, no matter what spec you're playing.
Good. Good. Watch your step. 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 Watch your step.
Going to the double robot pull here, I always kind of default to doing the same targeting, which is that I try to keep my lightning rod on both of the robots and then just basically dump all of my damage into them. Again, I am losing a fair portion of my damage here because I'm not properly rod spreading, but this is kind of the right thing to do, quote unquote.
Watch your step. Watch your step. Frontal. Interrupt. Frontal. Watch your step. Watch your step. Into frontal. Laser on you. Run. Frontal. Watch your step. Watch your step. Into. Frontal. Watch your step.
Now, Demolition Duo, if you're playing Elemental, this is gonna be a notoriously horrible boss for you. It's a tale as old as time on this channel by this point. Elemental Shaman is absolutely horrible at 2-target and 3-target pulls. What I always do here is I try to focus Bront for most of the fight. Bront has a lot more HP, and when you focus on him, it becomes a lot easier to dodge all of the AoE as well. And the key here, along with any other 2-target fight, such as the first boss in Priory, is to always have your lightning rod up on both of the bosses. Eventually, when you reach your downtime, it's going to be a little bit difficult to keep that up, but still, try your best to have 100% uptime here, because if you don't, you are very likely going to be doing tank damage.
Frontal. 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 Target you. Frontal.
Now, the big platform pull before Big Mama. I've recently been asked who to target here, and honestly, it is a huge patter pack. What you should know though is that inevitably the inspectors are gonna live longer because they can hop away and they disconnect from the pack, so they will end up taking less damage. What I do here as an Ellie, and what I would recommend to people who play specs that do more damage to mobs they tag, for example, is that they should tag these inspectors. I try my best to lightning rod them and then just dump all of my damage into the middle of the pack.
Watch your step. Frontal. Interrupt. Watch your step. Frontal. Watch your step. Frontal. Watch your step. Watch your step. Frontal. 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 Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step.
Now, onto Big Mama. I actually make a huge positioning mistake here, along with my Hunter, that is, I think. Again, what you're gonna see tanks doing in higher floodgates is they're gonna bring Big Mama into this little corner here, or like the edge in general. And the purpose of this is that every single team member should stack on the wall, because you're trying to bait the Mecha Drone's frontals so that they don't disconnect from Big Mama. If they disconnect, they can end up staying in range for a couple of seconds, which means you're gonna be losing a shit ton of damage on them. This is incredibly dangerous in hierarchies, because if you don't kill the drones fast enough, the little like AoE phase that Big Mama does, it hurts a shit ton. So preferably what I should do here is I should stack with the rest of my group in the corner, and when anyone gets the Sonic Boom, they should run out with it and then immediately come back.
Killads. Killed. Killads. Kill Big Ad. Run out. Killads.
Going to the Blood Warper pool, incredibly scary mob. What I found during my push is that there are sort of two categories, I would say, of prio mobs. The first one is the mob that is basically useless and just has a shit ton of HP. I would say that the 3000, the big robot, is one of those because as long as the group avoids the AoE, the mob basically becomes useless, right? And then there is someone like this Blood Warper who is incredibly unsafe to play and in my opinion should die before all of the other mobs. What I'm trying to say here is that if possible, please target this mob, have him killed as quickly as possible, because if you don't, you might risk the safety of your group and again, the entire key.
Watch your step. Watch your step. Interrupt. 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 Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step. Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step. Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step. Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step. Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step. Stack. Line, gather. Watch your step. Watch your step.
Okay, going downstairs now, another very scary pull, but again, it can become incredibly simple if you know who to target. Now, although we have inspectors in this pack who have more HP and are also gonna hop away, you should always target the first electrician here. Both of these guys dish out a disgusting dot on a player that hurts like hell and also stuns you if the healer doesn't dispel it. And the problem is that the healer can have a very hard time here. Not only do you need to spot heal 2 people very extensively, and along with that, if you do not dispel, it is very likely a certain death. So again, personally, I wouldn't recommend padding at all here. Just focus on the one electrician, get rid of him as quickly as possible, and the second one is not really an issue.
Frontal. 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 Frontal.
Goon.
Frontal. Frontal.
Goon.
Frontal.
Goon.
Frontal. 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 Frontal.
Soon I shall have the power I require!
Okay, on to Gigazap. What a nightmare of a boss. I would say debatably one of the worst bosses for healers in this entire rotation. Incredibly silly mistake that I see people doing here is they end up using their defenses wrong. What many people do is they use their wall during the intermission instead of the big Gigazap mechanics that goes on 2 players. This is a huge issue for healers because the Gigazap does a lot more damage than the group fight AoE, and it is also a lot harder to heal for many specs. And so the general rule of thumb in hierarchies is to never defensive this sort of party-wide AoE, it is to defensive individual mechanics and dots. But yeah, aside from that, I think pretty clean key. Let me know if you have noticed any more mistakes, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Kite spark to AOE incoming. Stay away from lines. Defensive.
I simply
Kite
wish you had
spark to water.
lasted a little longer.
AOE incoming. Stay away from lines. Defensive.
Superior mind, you dare pit your wits against
Kite spark to water. AOE incoming. Stay away from lines. Defensive.